Sarah remembers that day clearly because everything had been normal. It was cold, but bright. Her husband Daniel was in the living room fixing a strand of Christmas lights that kept flickering, and she was in the kitchen preparing dough for sugar cookies. It was one of those quiet winter days where sound seems softer because of the snow outside. Around 4 p.m., she heard the mail truck rumble past their house and decided to check the porch. She opened the door expecting a few late deliveries. But sitting alone in the middle of the doormat was a red gift box. Perfectly wrapped, perfectly centered, and not a single footprint around it besides hers. She didn't think much of it. Their neighbors were friendly, maybe someone had dropped off an early gift. But when she picked up the box, she noticed something odd. It was warm, as if someone had just been holding it moments before. She brought it inside and called for Daniel. He joked that maybe Santa came early upset, but Sarah wasn't smiling. She peeled off the ribbon, opened the lid, and froze. Inside was a single photograph, a picture of their living room. Taken from inside the house, same furniture, same arrangement, same flickering Christmas lights Daniel had been trying to fix. Only the angle didn't make sense. The photo was taken from a corner of the room where they didn't have a camera or a shelf. Daniel went quiet. He tried to rationalize it. Maybe the previous owners left it. Maybe it was some weird prank. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that someone had just been there. They locked the doors, closed the blinds, and went back to the kitchen in tense silence. And this was here it got creepy. For about an hour later, as the sun was setting, Sarah saw something through the window. A shadow moved across the porch. She opened the door slowly, and there was another red box, placed in the exact same spot. This time, Daniel opened it. Another photo. This one was worse. It was a picture of Sarah, sleeping, taken from the doorway of their bedroom. Daniel immediately grabbed his phone and called 911. While they waited, Sarah noticed something through the back window. Faint tracks in the snow near the edge of the yard. Footprints leading away from their back door into the woods behind the house. When police arrived, they followed the tracks and disappeared into the trees. They found a small makeshift camp, blankets, food wrappers, and a disposable camera half buried in the snow. Inside were several undeveloped photos, all of their house, all from the inside. The officers searched for hours, but whoever had been watching them, living near them, sneaking into their home, was gone. Sarah and Daniel moved out 2 months later. To this day, no one knows who left those boxes or how long they were inside the house before the couple noticed anything. If you've watched to this point, make sure to hit the subscribe button and join me as I take you on another creepy terror story on a Christmas Eve.
On December 23, 2022, Jamie attended her company's annual holiday party in a small town outside Salem, Oregon. The event was held in an old community lodge. Wooden beams, a giant decorated tree in the corner, tables full of food, the kind of place that feels comforting and old-fashioned. She didn't even want to go that night. She had been feeling burnt out from work, and the roads were icy from a sudden cold front. But her manager insisted everyone show up, so she forced herself to get dressed, scraped frost from her windshield, and drove there slowly. The party itself was harmless. Small talk, cheap wine, bad Christmas music, awkward group photos. Jamie wandered between conversations, but she mostly kept to herself until she noticed something strange. A man she didn't recognize. He stood near the back wall, half in the shadows, not talking to anyone. He wasn't dressed like an employee. No holiday sweater, no name tag, not even a drink in his hand. He just watched. Jamie assumed he was someone's partner, so she ignored it. And this is where everything doesn't make any sense. At around 9 p.m., she stepped outside to call her sister. Her phone reception in the lodge was terrible, so she walked toward the side of the building where it was quieter. While talking, she noticed something out of the corner of her eye. The same man. standing near the edge of the parking lot, not moving, just watching her from the darkness. Jamie lowered her voice. "There's this weird guy here," she whispered to her sister. Her sister asked if she was sure he wasn't just a coworker. Jamie said no. She'd never seen him before. She hung up and walked quickly back to the building, but when she went inside, the man was gone. A few coworkers were leaving, laughing, carrying leftovers, grabbing jackets. The party was calming down. Jamie gathered her purse and prepared to leave too. She didn't want to be the last person there, and this part still doesn't make sense. At around 10 p.m., she walked out into the freezing night. Most cars were gone now. Her car was parked near the far side of the lot, under a flickering street lamp. She pulled her coat tighter and started walking. After about 10 steps, she heard it. Footsteps, crisp, slow ones, behind her. She turned around expecting another employee, but the lot was empty. She walked faster. The footsteps continued. Same rhythm, same pace. She reached her car and unlocked it with trembling hands. The parking lot was silent again, but when she pulled the door open, she froze. Her back seat was fogged from the inside. She stood there, heart pounding, staring at the clouded glass. There shouldn't have been anyone in her car. She always locked it. She was sure of it. Hands shaking, she turned on her phone flashlight and leaned in slowly. Nothing. No one was there. Just a faint patch of condensation on the window, as if someone had been breathing inside her car minutes earlier. She locked the car again, backed away, and decided to go back inside the lodge to find someone to walk her out. Her instinct screamed that something was wrong, but when she reached the door of the lodge, the lights were off. Everyone had left. There was no one. Jamie stood alone in the freezing parking lot, trying to decide what to do. Call the police, run back to her car, or start knocking on nearby houses. That's when she heard it again. Footsteps, except this time, they were fast, running, from behind the building. Jamie bolted to her car, threw herself inside and locked the doors. Her breath was loud and panicked. She could barely get the key into the ignition. As the engine started, something slammed into her back window, hard. She screamed and hit the gas, skidding slightly on the icy pavement as she tore out of the lot. She didn't look back, not even once. When she finally made it home, she called the police. Officers checked the lodge parking lot but found no one, except for a single set of footprints circling the cars, and one handprint smeared on the back window of Jamie's car. She stopped attending any company events after that, and every winter since, she says she avoids parking lots after dark, especially when she's alone, because she still remembers the sound of those footsteps following her in the cold.
Christmas Eve 2021 was unusually warm in the small Texas town of Como Creek. Emily and her boyfriend Mark spent the afternoon putting up last-minute decorations, mostly because Emily insisted the house didn't feel Christmas enough. They weren't doing anything special that day. They watched a movie, cleaned the living room, argued playfully over who burned the cookies. It was one of those normal, unforgettable holiday evenings. Around 6 p.m., Mark stepped outside to turn on the string lights along the porch railing. That's when he noticed a package sitting right next to their front steps. Not a shipping box, not a bag, but a medium-sized gift wrapped in silver foil paper. Neat. Perfect corners and no tag. He assumed it was from one of Emily's friends. She had a habit of exchanging gifts early. So he brought it inside and set it on the coffee table. Emily came in from the kitchen, eyebrows raised.
"I didn't buy that,"
she said. Mark shrugged. "Maybe your mom." Emily shook her head. Her mom always used bright red wrapping paper, never metallic silver. The gift wasn't heavy, but it rattled softly when she moved it, and that sound alone made her uneasy. She sat down and carefully peeled the tape. Under the wrapping paper was a plain cardboard box, sealed, no markings, no label. Inside that box was another layer, a shoebox taped shut. Inside that was a red velvet jewelry box, small, expensive looking. Emily looked at Mark, confused. He looked just as lost. She opened it. Inside was a charm bracelet, delicate, gold-plated, with 5 small dangling charms. But what chilled her was that each charm was a tiny engraved letter. Emily, her name, perfectly spelled. There was no note, no explanation, nothing inside the lid, just the bracelet. Emily felt her stomach tighten. Nobody she knew would send something like this anonymously. And nobody besides her family and Mark really knew she liked charm bracelets. She closed the case and pushed it away. Mark tried to reassure her. Maybe someone dropped it off at the wrong house. Maybe it wasn't meant for us. But that explanation fell apart just 20 minutes later. Because at 6:47 p.m. their doorbell rang. Emily opened the door expecting a neighbor. But nobody was there. No footsteps, no voices, just warm Texas air and the quiet hum of Christmas lights. But then she saw it. Another silver-wrapped gift, placed exactly where the first one had been. This one was smaller. And when she picked it up, she noticed fingerprints smudged across the shiny surface, as if someone tried to grab it quickly. Mark ripped it open this time. Inside was a single Polaroid photo, a picture of Emily, standing at their mailbox. Taken that same afternoon, same clothes, same hairstyle, same weather. Emily's hands began shaking as she stared at it. They immediately called the police. 2 officers arrived within 10 minutes and began checking the neighborhood. One walked around the house with a flashlight while the other questioned them. While talking, the officer paused because he noticed something across the street. A large white pickup truck, parked just far enough away to not seem suspicious, but facing the house directly. It had no front plates, tinted windows, engine slightly warm. When police approached it, the truck sped off. No hesitation, no slow pull away. Just tires screeching and taillights disappearing into the neighborhood. The officers searched for hours, but they didn't find the truck again. And here's the part Emily says still haunts her. Later that night, after the police left, she went to throw away the wrapping paper from the first gift. As she lifted the bin lid outside, she stopped. There was a third box inside the trash can. Same silver wrapping paper, same perfect corners. Only this one wasn't empty. Inside was a folded scrap of paper with 4 words written in shaky handwriting. I found you again. Emily and Mark moved out the next morning and spent Christmas at her sister's house. The bracelet, the boxes, the photo. They gave everything to the police. No suspect was ever identified. No fingerprints matched anything in the system. The truck was never found. And Emily says she hopes whoever left those gifts never finds her again.